Okay. Good morning. Orlando here with Sin City Cycles. Today I am going to be changing the chain on my 2018 Venge. And that actually started out with me washing the bike first. And right now I'm getting set to remove the cassette so I can wash that before I put the new chain on. So let's go ahead and get started. Tools you're going to need. Chain whip. You don't necessarily need a socket wrench, but I use a socket wrench because I have a socket big enough for the tool that removes the cassette. Okay, and where are you? Oh, here it is.
Daddy, what are you doing?
Okay, so you will need one of these keys to remove the cassette here. Okay, and I bought myself a socket which is 26 millimeter
On my bike.
to fit that key. So,
On my bike.
alright, I've already removed the skewer. So what we're going to go ahead and do is apply the chain whip here. And I usually apply it to the top gear.
I just put it up here.
Okay, and you put it on there. Take your key,
My phone.
stick the key in there. Let's just put the socket
Daddy,
on
my
right.
phone. Daddy, my phone. Daddy, my phone.
Okay.
No.
Alright, now that it's unlocked,
My
we
phone.
can pull it off. Chain whip.
Hi.
And there you have the removal.
Okay. Good job, Daddy.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, now I need my alcohol spray bottle.
Okay. Okay, Daddy.
Alright,
Daddy, where's your phone?
and what I do here,
Where's your phone? Where's your phone?
clearly,
Where's your phone, Daddy?
I'm going to spray, and this is 90% alcohol. I find it's one of the better degreasers because it evaporates almost instantly. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is spray that down, and this is just your ordinary toothbrush. We'll put a little bit of alcohol in there, and go ahead and proceed to go around it and loosen up all that grit and old grease. Of course, as soon as I get started doing this, the washing machine needs fabric softener now, but let's see if I can get this done before that cycle ends.
Dad, get my phone. Dad, get my phone. Dad, get my phone. Dad, get my phone.
Honey, like I said, if you're going to hang out while Daddy's working, you're going to have to be quiet, okay, sweetheart? Alright, and what I'm doing right now is wiping off the remaining bits of crap that are on here. And you're not going to be able to get it absolutely clean because for the past few years, Shimano has been putting all of the top gears together. So you can't individually rub each one of those like you used to be able to. So I'm not sure if this is an easier manufacturing process or why they do it, but that's what they do here. Okay, now, when you look at these, there is a certain set of teeth here that are different from the rest. One is real fat and one is real skinny. Now, you need to line up that fat and skinny tooth with the wheel. And I'll bring this over here so you can see it. Okay?
Daddy.
Now, if you look at the wheel here, you can see that we have a real fat section, and then right next to it we have a real skinny section. And that is where the cassette fits on. And there's no wrong way to do this, okay? So this will not fit on the wrong way. This will only go on the right way. And now you notice here, this second set of cogs is also multiple wheels or multiple gears. This is the last one that they do like that. The rest of them are all singles. Alright, get all that dirt loosened up there. Get my alcohol soaked rag to wipe her clean. Okay. Honey, one day you can make your own videos, but right now you're in the middle of Daddy. Okay, and we're going to put this one on the same way as the last one. All of the teeth have that wide and thin set, so it fits. Alright, and now we are down to the single gears, okay? Now, this one here has a spacer built into it, the one that's before it. But after this gear, you will have to include a spacer after every gear. So I'll show you that as soon as I put this one on. Alright, and once you have just the single gears, it's a lot easier to just wipe them down. So that's why I don't use the toothbrush on all of them. Okay, now after that one, each one is going to require one of these spacers. And for Ultegra, they're made out of aluminum, I believe. I think they're aluminum. Sounds like metal, so I'm going with aluminum because it's lighter than steel. And this is an Ultegra cassette, by the way. So in this current generation of cassettes, all of them are built the same. So even 105, even, what's the other one? Tiagra. Even Tiagra cassettes are built in the same fashion. So all the current models will come this way. And you can see how they've saved weight on these by drilling out, or drillium, how they used to call it, to save weight, and they still do that. Those of you who are unfamiliar with drillium, those of you who are really young, go ahead and look that one up. People used to actually drill thousands of holes in their bikes to save weight. Oh, and I love this pattern too, by the way. Here, let me see if I can show it to you. The pattern that it leaves when you brush it, you can see the perfect indentations of the gear. I was actually thinking of getting a tattoo like that on my leg, but that's a whole nother video. All right, so after that gear, we'll go ahead and put on another spacer and wipe down the next coinciding gear. Now, if you happen to get these mixed up when you're removing it, just remember large to smaller. So each one that goes in the proper place will be one little bit smaller than the other one. So if you have a large, small, small, and then large, one that's bigger than it, it's the wrong way. And you're going to have to undo it and put it back the right way. Okay. Spacer. And I've done this a lot, so I'm doing it very fast. I suggest on your first time, you go ahead and do just that, is take your time. These last couple are a little bit different. This one actually has the spacer built into it. I don't know if you can see the lift on the back of that gear, but that is the spacer. Alright, and these go on just like the rest of them. And this is the final gear, our 11T. Go ahead and rub that one down. And this one as well is different as well. If you can see here, there's grooves, and it has a built-in spacer. Okay, now there's a little chain groove on the back of this thing that collects a lot of grease. So I'm very careful about going ahead and getting all of that grease and debris out of there. That way it doesn't contaminate our new chain. Okay. Now, this is our lock. Okay, and if you look, it's threaded. And I usually put the key on the lock first, so that way it goes on straight. Give it a couple good turns to get it started, so now it's finger tight. Then I go ahead and grab my wrench. And I don't have a torque wrench, but I know feel here, and I get it to tight. All right. That is our cassette clean. Go ahead, reinsert your skewer. And if you don't know, I have run into a lot of people. The drive side is the side with the nut, okay? These tires are directional, so that's how I remember what direction is what, especially on the front, because if you take the skewer out, it could be either way. So. That job. Now I'll go ahead and set that off to the side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get started on the chain removal and installation. Okay, this is my new chain, 11 speed. Okay, now in order to apply it, you are going to need one of these types of tools. I believe I picked this one up on Amazon for like $10, and I've done literally maybe 40 or 50 chains with it, so this was a pretty good deal. Okay, now this one actually comes with this little hook, and I like this thing here. Let's see if I can get it to do what it's supposed to do here. And it's meant to isolate a piece of chain. Alright, so now it's isolated this little bit of chain down there, and I hope you can see it. I'm going to double check, make sure that you can see down there. Alright. Now what I'm going to do here is select one of these pins to remove. And it doesn't really matter which one, but you need to remove one of them. Go ahead and cinch it down. Make sure it's lined up on the pin. Which isn't really as big of a concern because I'm going to be tossing this after I remove it. And there, you feel it break. And go ahead and push it all the way through. Alright, and you'll feel it get easier as you're turning, and that's when you know you got it. Okay, and this little hook here also helps when you remove the chain. It helps the chain from not flinging back, because if I were not to have this thing, the second I take this pin out, everything's going to whip around and come apart. So it's good for that as well. Okay, and you can see here that I have removed the pin. Okay, and that's what they are. Go ahead and toss that. I do not need it anymore. Okay, now I am going to take the hook off. Allow the spring to retract, and we have our broken chain. And this one was an Ultegra chain that I bought from AliExpress, so I'm still not quite sure if it was a real Shimano chain. I always had some doubts. It's supposed to be an Ultegra chain, but it served its life. I think I did about maybe 7,000 miles on this one, so it's definitely ready to go. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this open. I believe it's just this piece of tape here that keeps it closed. Now, you're going to need your old chain to size the new one. So I hope you didn't throw it away yet. I don't use the quick link. I don't remove the chain to clean it. I think the quick link is a weak link, and we all know the saying. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and that is this one. So we will not be using that. So what I'm going to do right now is lay the new chain on the floor here. After it's all untangled. Okay. Of course, spin cycle. Okay, now that is the one we are going to break it at. Now if you see here, it ends right here at this loop. And that is the one I want to break. Now I'm only going to push this one part of the way because I'm going to need to reinstall it. So you don't want to push it all the way through. Now I've used mine a bunch of times so I know how far to go. But on your first time, you're going to want to take your time to make sure that you get it right. You'll feel it break. There it is. Be very careful not to push it too far. Now this one's almost coming out, so I don't want to go too far here. I don't want it to pop out. Just want to be able to remove the broken piece of chain so I can put this on. And there it is. Now if you look here, I left a small little bit sticking out, and that's how we will connect it to the opposite end of the chain. Okay, right now, it's a broken piece of chain. I usually save those. I don't know what I'm expecting to do with them, but I am, now that I've measured the new one, going to throw the old one out. All right, let's get started on this installation here. So now that we've broken the chain and made it up to length, you're going to want this sticking out nub to be facing towards you. Otherwise, you're going to be under the bike trying to tighten the chain. Through the derailleur. Okay. Now, on most derailleurs, there's a little guard here that the chain needs to go around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and pull it through. Okay. Now it goes through the bottom. There it is. Okay, now I'll take this other end and put it through our front derailleur. Right now, I'm going to stick this hook in again so I can isolate the spot that I want to work on. Okay. Alright, now you can see the two halves that I need to connect here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pre-fit that on. There you go. There it is. Okay. And you can see where the post is. That's where I'm going to hook up my tool. Just make that a flat spot. Now I'm going to line this up with the pin and the push rod and start pushing. Take your time on this. You don't want to deform the chain. As I'm saying that, I'm deforming the chain. Okay. think we're just about there, so that looks pretty good to me. Take the isolation tool off, and we are going to go ahead and check. Make sure everything is looking good. That appears to be good. All right. And that, as they say, is that. As always, I hope you like our videos. If you like the kind of videos that we're bringing, feel free to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, put them down there in the comments. As always, peace.